A soldier reported fleeting glimpses of movement figures stepping silently through the frost-covered trees, then vanishing into the mist. Others spoke of eyes reflecting light where none should exist, shadows shifting always at the periphery. Lieutenant Miller captured it in his log. "We are watched. We are followed. The forest moves with intent. We are not alone." The journal's words trailing off, ellipses left hanging like a breath held too long. Whispers among the men grew louder, footsteps that were too quick, rustling that could not be wind, frost-crusted leaves disturbed without cause. Private Sullivan disappeared between two ancient oaks. No struggle, no sound, just emptiness. The squad pressed forward, hearts pounding, rifles ready. Every snapping twig, every echo of movement made them freeze in place, fear crawling across skin, a presence tangible, yet invisible. The folklore layer thickened. Villagers spoke of Ardennes' Waldgeist, ancient forest spirits inhabiting the ridges, hunters, guardians, watchers, echoes of prior incursions. Soldiers' accounts mirrored these tales. Recurring motifs, vanished patrols, glowing eyes in the fog, whispered voices along abandoned trails, footprints too large, broken branches arranged unnaturally, inexplicable phenomena repeating across decades, across highlands, patterns suggesting design, intention, presence. By the fifth day, exhaustion and fear combined. The squad felt the weight of the unseen pressing upon them. Every step uncertain. The forest alive, alert, a character unto itself. Men documented anomalies meticulously, recording the impossible alongside the mundane, fleeting figures. Footprints that ended abruptly, whispers in the wind, static on the radios. Yet official records remained clinical, sparse, factual, hiding, or perhaps unable to convey the full extent of what had unfolded in the Ardennes. December 1944. Ardennes Forest, Belgium. Frost clung to every branch. Mist hovered low, turning familiar trails into a labyrinth of shadows. Sergeant Miller led his small patrol of 4 men, rifles ready, boots crunching over frozen leaves, every sound amplified, their breath rising in ghostly clouds, the cold creeping into their bones. Each step weighed with tension. The forest was eerily silent. No birds, no rustling wildlife, only distant echoes of artillery fading into the night. Yet something moved. Twigs snapped with no one stepping there. Footprints appeared in snow, too deep, too wide, weaving unnaturally. Lieutenant Harris noted in his journal patterns repeat. Something moves faster than any known animal, unseen, deliberate. The words trailing into ellipses, the fog swallowing the sentence. Villagers had long whispered of the Ardennes as haunted, of shadowy guardians known as Waldgeist, spirits inhabiting ridges and hollows, watchers of the forest, echoes of past incursions, soldiers disappearing without a trace, eyes glowing in the fog, footprints ending abruptly, whispered voice drifting on cold winds, howls echoing through winter nights, maps unreliable, streams appearing where none were marked, tangled undergrowth misleading men, paths changing, disorienting even the most experienced guides. The squad pressed deeper, senses heightened, each snapping twig, each rustle, sent shivers down spines. The forest alive, breathing, observing, pressing upon them. Sergeant Miller's voice low taut with tension. Stay together. Don't stop. Keep moving. Every journal entry meticulously recorded anomalies, fleeting figures glimpsed at the edge of vision, broken branches bent unnaturally, shadows clinging longer than light allowed, whispered voices carried by the wind, static on the radios, a presence unseen, yet undeniably there. Hours stretched into days. Frost and fear gnawed at the men. Private Sullivan vanished between two ancient oaks. No struggle, no sound, only emptiness. The squad moved on, hearts pounding, every step uncertain, the forest itself a character, alive, alert, waiting, every trail deceptive, every path treacherous, maps useless, snow covering the evidence, the men documenting the impossible alongside the mundane, footprints ending abruptly, fleeting shapes, whispers, static. Yet official records remained clinical, sparse, factual, hiding or perhaps unable to convey the full weight of what had unfolded. The forest pressed closer, a character unto itself, alive with history and memory, shadowed corridors of trees, icy winds carrying stories of vanished men, patrols lost for decades, patterns repeating, echoes of the past woven into the present, every snap of a twig, every ghostly movement, a reminder that Ardennes did not forgive. Ardennes did not forget. By the fifth day, exhaustion and dread combined, every step uncertain. The men documenting meticulously, footprints, broken branches, fleeting shapes, whispers in the wind, shadows that moved, static on the radios. The forest watching, always watching. Yet official reports remained clinical, sparse, factual, insufficient to capture the full terror of what had happened. Reports filed months after the patrol disappeared describe what historians call a singular disappearance. Corporal Haynes's journal is chilling in its brevity. Fate unknown for Sullivan. Vanished between two oaks. No struggle, no sound. Official military records echo this uncertainty, describing mysterious occurrences near Houffalize, footprints found deep in snow, unnaturally wide, weaving through undergrowth, then abruptly ending. Rifles and gear left behind. Helmets overturned. No signs of combat. No human trail. Investigators could only speculate. Witnesses reported fleeting shapes, too fast to track. Shadows that disappeared before anyone could focus. Lieutenant Harris's log captures the fear succinctly. The men saw something, cannot describe it, yet it is present, stalking, watching, his words trailing in ellipses frozen like the frost over the forest floor. Local newspapers documented unexplained activity throughout Ardennes during December 1944. Patrols lost, men returning with similar accounts, whispers carried on the wind, footsteps in directions that defied logic, eyes glowing in the fog. Military officers dismissed the reports as stress fatigue or hallucination, yet patterns repeated, identical descriptions from multiple units, footprints appearing and vanishing, men disappearing, the forest claiming them silently, without warning. Command correspondence reveals contradictions between eyewitness testimonies. One soldier sketches a hulking form moving through trees. Another insists the forest was empty. Notes hint at missing equipment, some recovered far from their original location. No explanation. Journals contain distorted figures, elongated limbs, movements too fast for the eye. Investigators noted a chilling consistency, as if each report mirrored the others. Separate men, same forest, same inexplicable phenomena. The squad's radio transmissions are preserved, fragmented, static-filled. One message reads something, moving with us, faster than we can track. Men disappearing, cannot fight, cannot see. And then silence. A haunting echo that remains in archives. Contemporary historians confirm similar phenomena across multiple patrols. Patterns recurring. The same forest. The same fear. A motif of disappearance. Of men swallowed by the Ardennes. Photographic evidence exists, blurred. Shadows elongated. Figures obscured by fog. Frozen in mid-motion. Archivists note anomalies in perspective, repeating patterns in light and shadow, almost as if the forest itself altered what was recorded. Evidence collated in footnotes and appendices details environmental anomalies, microclimates shifting overnight, snow covering tracks, streams freezing and thawing in hours, terrain altering subtly, maps unreliable, trails bending unnaturally, a calculated chaos. Fact layer colliding with folklore layer, suggesting documentation could never fully capture what transpired. By mid-patrol, soldiers documented strange sounds, whispers, indistinct voices carried by wind, tree branches breaking in impossible sequences, fleeting shapes glimpsed in peripheral vision, shadows detaching, moving independently, circling, testing their nerves, discipline fraying under unseen pressure. Official reports emphasize the unknown, the inexplicable. Yet letters, journals, and sketches insist the forest was alive, aware, predatory, a silent observer. Even recovered personal effects hint at the strangeness. Diaries left open, pages marked with ellipses, sketches of eyes, strange symbols, rifles left in perfect alignment, footprints in snow returning to their origin, never reaching an exit, equipment disappearing only to reappear, sometimes days later, without explanation. One log notes the men moved in formation, yet I could feel them being watched. Each step calculated. We are prey, and the forest is patient. It waits. This motif repeats across reports from different units, over decades. Same area, same patterns. The fact layer presents the undeniable, the documents, the journals, the reports. Yet even these cannot explain the weight of fear, the certainty that some presence was moving among the trees. The forest whispered at night, wind twisting through skeletal branches, carrying voices not their own, indistinct urgent, warning or mocking. Soldiers froze, rifles trembling in their hands, mist thickening, shadows moving against the fog, fleeting shapes just at the edge of vision, eyes glowing, intelligent, calculating, following their every step. A figure appeared briefly between two trees, elongated, humanoid, yet impossibly tall, limbs bending unnaturally, vanished when any man tried to focus. Footsteps echoed, faster than they could run, disappearing into silence. The squad's journals captured these fleeting horrors, sketches of shapes, eyes, shadows, moving independently, circling, watching. Villagers spoke of the Waldgeist, spirits older than memory, hunting and guarding, appearing before battles, claiming the unwary, footprints that led nowhere, snow undisturbed, air that carried whispers in unknown tongues. Soldiers laughed nervously at first, dismissing superstition. Yet identical tales emerged across units. Patrols vanished. Men returned changed, eyes haunted, voices trembling. One night, a patrol reported seeing movement in the fog, figures approaching, cloaked in shadow, yet silent, rifles raised, nothing, vanished when any man attempted to aim. Private Sullivan described feeling a hand brush his shoulder, yet no one was there. The air heavy, thick, cold, oppressive, as if the forest itself exhaled. Other patrols documented strange lights, greenish glows hovering among trees, fleeting, shifting, vanishing when approached. Snow disturbed, yet no footprints. Noises of snapping branches, footsteps that circled, men hearing voices calling their names, whispers just beyond comprehension, chilling, unreal. Children of nearby villages were warned never to enter the forest alone. Fires were kept burning at night, lest shadows claim them. Farmers recalled figures watching from the edges of fog, lingering behind trees, observing silently. And the soldiers began to see these patterns, repeating, same shapes, same glowing eyes, same impossibly fast movements. Shadows stretching and bending. The forest seemed to remember. Old battles, blood spilled, patrols vanished, echoes of the past carried in frost and wind. Footprints imprinted in memory, returning, vanishing, whispering. Soldiers' letters hint at fleeting glimpses of figures moving against the light, rustling of undergrowth when no one was there. Snow shifting, trees bending unnaturally. On one patrol, static on the radio, then voices, distorted, calling men's names. Orders echoed, replies from the squad, yet no one else was present. Shadows in the mist, following, circling, ever closer. Shapes detached from the darkness, moving independently. Men frozen with fear, eyes darting, rifles raised. Nothing. Nothing but the wind. Some nights, glowing eyes observed from above, perched in trees, reflecting pale moonlight, unblinking, unmoving, yet watching. The squad's journals record men speaking to unseen entities, pleading, praying, begging, movements of branches, footprints appearing near, then vanishing, equipment displaced, rifles perfectly aligned, helmets overturned, all signs of presence, deliberate, intelligent. Villagers reported seeing ghostly patrols, men moving in formation, yet silent, intangible, disappearing into fog. Voices carried across distances, whispering warnings, telling tales of vanished squads, all recorded in fragmented local newspapers, letters, private diaries, the folklore layered upon fact, reinforcing fear, building legend. By the end of the week, frost and terror had consumed the patrol. Every step uncertain, eyes haunted by fleeting shadows, whispers in the wind, branches snapping in impossible sequences. The forest alive, aware, predatory, observing, testing, documenting, waiting. For those who entered Ardennes, the line between fact and folklore blurred. Shadows became reality. Legends became experience. The forest itself a predator, a witness, eternal. The forest did not end with the Ardennes. Distant woods whispered similar stories. Patrols disappearing. Men entering paths that twisted unnaturally. Snow covering footprints overnight. Streams shifting course. Air heavy with unspoken warnings. A lieutenant in a neighboring forest recorded in his journal, "The men vanish. Shadows move faster than thought. Something watches, waiting, calculating, ellipses lingering, like breath held in frost." Across the highlands, other patrols encountered the same phenomena. Glowing eyes glimpsed in fog, figures too tall, limbs bending impossibly, moving silently between trees, men frozen, rifles trembling in hand, whispers drifting through branches, distorted voices calling names or issuing commands, impossible to ignore, leading soldiers toward confusion, toward fear, toward disappearance. Villagers reinforced the motif. Ancient tales of Waldgeist, shadowy guardians, hunting spirits, eyes reflecting moonlight, appearing before conflicts, guiding or claiming the unwary. Stories of patrols vanishing. Same patterns. Glowing eyes in fog. Fleeting forms moving faster than human. Whispers that chilled the blood. Each new incident mirrored the previous. Frozen ground. Sudden howls. Footsteps circling. Branches snapping. Snow disturbed unnaturally. Maps proving unreliable. Trails folding back. Paths disappearing. Men caught in loops of trees. Corridors bending unnaturally. One squad reported equipment moving on its own. Rifles perfectly aligned. Helmets overturned. Sketches of elongated figures. Shadows detaching. Moving independently. Circling. Observing. The static on radios carried voices. Whispers. Cries. Sometimes laughter. Sometimes commands. Repeating motifs across time. Across space. Connecting forests. Incidents. Legends. Men documented their fear meticulously. Sketches. Journals. Letters. All pointing to the same truth. Forests alive. Aware. Predatory. Testing the curious. Claiming the unwary. Men vanished. Some returned. Changed. Eyes haunted. Voices trembling. Telling stories that were both terrifying and eerily similar. Across units. Across decades. Other incidents strengthened the pattern. A patrol lost near Houffalize. Another in the Vosges. Identical footprints. Shadows stretching unnaturally. Equipment displaced. Radios picking up static whispers. Soldiers describing figures appearing and vanishing. Glowing eyes in mist. Paths shifting. Snow covering evidence. Branches bending in impossible angles. The forest itself acting as predator and witness. Children of nearby villages were warned never to wander. Fires kept burning at night. Villagers swore they saw fleeting shapes at the edge of fog, lurking between trees, observing silently. Soldiers began to recognize the repetition. Same forms, same glowing eyes, same impossibly fast movements, shadows stretching, bending, detaching. The bridge between folklore and fact became seamless, each layer reinforcing the other. Patterns repeating across forests, across regions, across time. Every new patrol added to the mosaic, connecting forests, incidents, and legends. Footsteps ending abruptly. Men disappearing without trace. Sketches of figures that moved too fast. Snow covering their tracks. Trails leading nowhere. Whispers in the wind. Voices calling from the mist. The forest was alive. Aware. Patient. Predatory. Waiting. And each squad, each man, became part of a growing tapestry. Part of the eternal rhythm. The pulse. The unseen presence. Guiding inexorably toward the climax, where the forest would fully reveal itself. The night pressed down on the Ardennes like a living weight, frost sharp as knives, fog thickening, swallowing sound, swallowing light. Sergeant Miller's squad moved cautiously, rifles ready, boots sinking in snow, every step uncertain. Shadows flickered at the edge of vision, moving too fast, shapes vanishing before they could be identified. A presence unseen yet undeniable. A sudden scream tore through the forest, high-pitched, human yet not. Private Lewis vanished between two gnarled oaks. No struggle, no sound, only a ghostly silence. Lieutenant Harris raised his rifle. Nothing. Empty space. A shiver crawling over skin. The air thick, heavy, oppressive, as if the forest itself exhaled. Footprints appeared, deep, wide, twisting unnaturally, then stopping abruptly, as if swallowed by the earth. Equipment abandoned, helmets overturned, rifles left perfectly aligned. The scene almost ritualistic. The radio crackled, static, whispers, voices distorted, calling names, issuing commands, sometimes laughter, sometimes screams. The men froze, rifles shaking, unable to distinguish voice from imagination. Sergeant Miller's journal later recorded, "They are with us, moving faster than we can see, unseen, patient, stalking. We cannot fight, we cannot flee." Ellipses trailing like fog, branches snapped, unnaturally, limbs bending, shapes moving independently, circling the squad, whispering in languages unknown, glowing eyes, intelligent, watching, calculating. Shadows detached from darkness, moving in impossible ways. The forest alive, aware, predatory, testing, mocking. Each soldier's journal entry recorded fleeting glimpses, sketches of elongated forms, shadows detaching, circling, disappearing into mist. A distant howl echoed, chilling, reverberating through the trees, frost forming in unnatural patterns, snow shifting, paths folding back on themselves, streams appearing where none existed, terrain manipulating itself. The forest itself became predator and puzzle, testing men's nerves, mapping fear, guiding them toward disappearance. Private Sullivan's disappearance was mirrored by another. Men calling out, receiving no reply. Footsteps circling, shadows dancing, whispers carrying across the frost, distorted voices from the static, laughter, cries, commands, repeating motifs from other forests, from other patrols. Across decades, equipment moved, rifles realigned, boots shifted, journals left open, pages marked with ellipses, sketches of eyes, distorted figures, signs of intelligence, of design. The forest not random, but deliberate. The squad tried to maintain formation, but fear frayed nerves, discipline unraveling, shadows stretching, bending, circling, detaching, always just out of reach. Men froze. Some whispered prayers. Others begged. Shadows detached, gliding, circling, moving closer. The air cold, dense, oppressive, eyes glowing, waiting. The forest claimed the night, its presence palpable, relentless, unavoidable. Each step was a gamble, every breath measured, snow covering all traces, leaving no evidence, yet leaving fear etched into memory. By the fifth night, the patrol was fractured, soldiers speaking in fragments, letters recovered later, diaries open, sketches of elongated, impossible forms, reports of equipment displaced, shadows moving independently, voices calling names, whispering warnings, the fact layer recording the unexplainable, the folklore layer insisting it had always been there, patient, eternal, watching. The forest revealed itself fully, palpable, omnipresent. Men vanished, some returned, haunted, eyes wide, voices trembling, stories consistent, detailed, terrifying, patterns repeating, across forests, across regions, across generations. Every patrol became part of a tapestry, footsteps ending abruptly, equipment scattered, shadows detaching, eyes glowing in fog, whispers carried by wind. And through it all, the Ardennes remained, alive, aware, waiting for the next patrol. The fog hung thicker than ever, frost glittering like shattered glass across broken branches, shadows twisting unnaturally, curling around trunks, disappearing into the mist. Footprints appeared, then vanished, rifles abandoned, helmets overturned, journals open, pages marked with ellipses, sketches of glowing eyes, distorted forms, all traces swallowed by the forest, leaving only fear, only memory. Some men returned, eyes wide, voices trembling, recounting glimpses of movement too fast to follow, shadows at the edge of vision, whispers in the wind, stories too consistent, too terrifying, to dismiss. Villagers whispered of the Ardennes Waldgeist, shadowy guardians of the forest, spirits older than memory, observing, claiming, waiting. Branches snapped unnaturally, snow shifting beneath invisible weight, footsteps circling, whispers calling names, voices echoing through the frost, shapes detaching, moving independently, observing, vanishing, returning, equipment displaced, rifles realigned. The forest remembered every patrol, every step, the lost, the vanished, patterns repeating, each incident adding to the tapestry. Fact and folklore intertwined, unstoppable, alive, predatory. And then, a sound, faint at first, like footsteps, faster than human could move, circling the camp, disappearing, returning, closer. A glowing pair of eyes reflected in frost, unblinking, staring, always staring. The men froze, breaths caught, hearts hammering, every instinct screaming. Something waits, just beyond reach. The last radio transmission crackled, fragmented. Sergeant Miller's voice strained. We cannot see, cannot fight. The forest, it knows. Then silence, then movement, too fast to track. Shapes forming from mist, circling, encroaching. Equipment displaced again, rifles perfectly aligned. Footprints appearing where none should. Whispers carried across the frozen air. Names called, commands given, distorted, impossible. Some men swore the forest itself spoke, warning, tempting, teasing. As the mist thickened, the shadows lengthened, stretching, bending, detaching from darkness, observing, circling, vanishing, returning, and far beyond the immediate camp, deeper into the Ardennes. Other patrols moved unknowingly, footsteps echoing in rhythm with the vanished, whispers carried across valleys, glowing eyes peering from fog, frozen trees bending unnaturally, snow covering traces of what had passed, each incident a thread in a larger tapestry, connecting forests, incidents, legends across decades. Something stirs deeper in the Ardennes, a presence that has waited centuries, observing every patrol, every step, collecting evidence, testing fear. The forest does not forgive. It does not forget. It is patient, eternal, hungry. And now, the question remains, what truly hunts in the Ardennes? What claims the lost, the unseen, the daring? Each step deeper, each patrol, each story builds toward the next revelation, waiting, watching. The next chapter is already unfolding, footsteps echoing through frost, whispers carried on icy wind, shadows moving just beyond sight. The Ardennes holds more secrets, more vanishings, more horrors, waiting for those who dare to enter. You've just witnessed one dossier from classified chronicles, but the Ardennes is not done. The forest waits, the shadows watch, and the next patrol, the next story, the next nightmare is already taking shape. Will you follow it? Into the mist, into the unknown, into the shadows that never forget.